Welcome to the podcast on function composition. Function composition is very similar to evaluation, except that instead of evaluating it at a number, we're going to evaluate at a function. Kind of strange. So let's see how it works. So I have the function f of x equals 3x plus 1. And I know how to evaluate this if I were to say what is f of 0. I just plug in a 0, so 3 parentheses 0 plus 1. Well, 3 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is 1, so it equals 1. We're all really good with that. But what if I change it to tell me what f of x squared is? Well, it's the same procedure as before. I do a 3 big parentheses. Wherever I see an x, I'm going to put a big parentheses plus 1. What I put in that big parentheses? X squared. So this just equals 3x squared plus 1. So my input for this function is x squared. My output is 3x squared plus 1. Sometimes they give us two names of functions. So they might say that our first function's f of x equals, we'll do the same, 3x plus 1. And they'll give us another function, we'll call it g of x, equals, let's just say it's 5x. And what they might do to us is say, what is, we'll color code it, so what is f of g of x equal to? Well, look at my outermost function, the one in blue. That's my f of x function. So that's a function I'm going to put something into. So I'm going to rewrite this with that in mind. So I'm going to say this is 3 big parentheses plus 1. Well, what goes into that big parentheses? G of x. But I don't want the function name in there. I want the actual function, what it's equal to. So really what I want in there is 5x. And then I can solve it. So 3 times 5x is 15x plus 1. So my input was g of x and my output was 15x plus 1. We can also go the other way. We can say what is g of f of x. Again, what is my outermost function? My outermost function is g of x. So I'm going to write that, and wherever I see an x, I'm going to put a parentheses. So 5 big parentheses. And what goes in there? Well, f of x. F of x is equal to 3x plus 1. And then I solve it using algebraic manipulation. So 5 times 3 is 15x plus 5. So there I have it. G of f of x is 15x plus 5. The last type they give you, they actually call this fog, or f of g. Again, they're going to give you a couple functions, so let's say that f of x equals to x squared plus 1, and let's say g of x is equal to 3x minus 5. And then I wanted to do fog. So all a fog is, we can reinterpret fog. All that means is f of g of x. Just like we did up above. So let's go ahead and do that. F, my f function, wherever I see an x, I'm going to put a big parentheses squared plus 1. What goes in that big parentheses? 3x minus 5. X minus 5. And then I have to do some work. Whenever I square, I rewrite it twice. So this is 3x minus 5, 3x minus 5 plus 1. I gotta FOIL this out, so this is gonna be 9x squared minus 15x minus 15x plus 25 plus 1. Combine like terms, 9x squared minus 30x plus 26. And there's my answer. So f of g equals 9x squared minus 30x plus 26. These are called Fogg and Goff. They could be any function. They typically use the first f of x and g of x functions, but I could have any kind of combination of functions. I could have, if my function was h of x and m of x, I could have h of m or h of m of x, anything like that, and evaluate it. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Alright, here's another f of x and g of x. Why don't you go ahead and evaluate for Fogg, or f of g, and see how you do. Hit pause, and then you'll see the answer that I come up with. Alright, here's my answer. So I'm going to rewrite it as f of g of x equals my f function. I'm going to, wherever I see an x, I'm going to put a big parentheses, 2 big parentheses squared plus 3 big parentheses plus 1. What goes in that big parentheses? My g of x. So 5x and 5x. And then I solve it out. So this is 2 f of x squared, 5x squared is times 25x squared plus 3 times 5 is 15x plus 1. Finally, 2 times 25 is 50x squared plus 15x plus 1.